The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 6th day of December 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman, and she's and he's well, folks, it's just me today. It's just me today, and you know what that means. I have no one to tell me, no, Jamal, no, don't do it, Jamal. No. It's just, well, it's not just me. I mean, Maya will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy as well. But folks, it's your boy. It's me. And we're gonna talk about some things today. Yeah, we've got some things to talk about. Now, wish Phil well. Phil is out sick today. He's got a little cold. So hopefully he'll get well soon, and he'll be back with us very, very soon. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we're welcoming a Wanda Gispert on to discuss workforce development. Looking forward to this conversation. I always say, I don't consider myself an expert at anything, especially HR and workforce development. But on a global scale, workforce development is so important. All of us are enjoying the World Cup right now, for instance, right? Do we ever think about the role workforce development played in that? The amount of workers that were imported to build stadiums, people who are, employed in neighboring United Arab Emirates and so on. So Bermuda's a big player in tourism. And so workforce development on a global perspective gives us insight as to how industry and industries work. So looking forward to the conversation with Wanda Gispert. The Daily Play is more holiday trivia. And Maya, hopefully, is going to stick around with us since, I have no friends with me today. Maya's going to do the Daily Play with us. So, she shows up in the comments every now and then with the right answer. But I try to pay her no mind because, I'm trying to trick people up. I'm not trying to help you all look good. That's just not what I do. No, it's not what I do. But, folks, we've got to have a conversation this morning, And a lot has been happening. But before we get to that, let me share something with you, because there was a tweet last night. I followed it. I didn't know many Bermudians followed it, but it's this page called Uber Facts on Twitter, right? Uber Facts. And Uber Facts put something about Bermuda last night. And they said, Bermuda has no natural water source. That's a lie. Each house collects rainwater using white stepped roofs, right? Well, if the water is coming from rain, isn't that natural? I mean, I know what they mean. We have no rivers or anything in Bermuda, but yeah. Anyway, that's not why I'm bringing this up to you. So someone in, let's see, looks like Nashville, Tennessee, home of country music, says, so if it don't rain, they musty. So me in Jamal Hartman's sarcastic form, I said, yup, if it doesn't rain, Bermudians are musty. So someone said, what you telling these people? I said, well, sometimes we have to allow our sarcasm to be our voice. But folks, if it doesn't rain in Bermuda, we still bathe. All right. we still, visit the shower or a bathtub. It's it's not as serious as you think, and we don't have droughts like that where people go without. So just wanted to clear that up. But continuing on yesterday's conversation, we spoke about some, I guess, government-like issues, right? Government-like issues. And what we discussed yesterday was the fact that, well, I said it, that Bermudians don't know how to hold the Black government accountable, right? I also spoke of that if, white Bermudians spoke out against the government, they'd be labeled racist. If Black Bermudians do it, that they would be considered sellouts or Uncle Toms or whatever other name the supporters of the Black government want to give them. And it strikes me all the time, right, that, as I mentioned to Maya prior to coming on, I look at someone like LeBron James or Colin Kaepernick, but then Katora Horton, Parent Chief, and the Marshall Brothers. And what stands out to people, to me, about people like that is these are people who use their platforms, and I use athletes just now, but there are also entertainers who use their platforms, right, for social causes, right? And the question of the morning is very simple. Well, first off, do you think people like LeBron James or Colin Kaepernick or Katora Horton, Parent Chief, do you even think that they should use their platform for social causes? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that they should use their platforms for social causes? Yes or no? That's the first question before we get into it. Do you believe people with platforms should use their platform for social causes? Yes or no? That's your first question. And we can go down a list of people who've used their platforms for social causes. We've got Oprah Winfrey. She's very outspoken. I mean, politically, she just gave comments about the Senate race in Pennsylvania, where Dr. Oz went against Fetterman, I believe it was. Yeah, Fetterman. So she's been out there, social causes, not just politically, but built a school in South Africa. She's been about the growth of young Black females. Michelle Obama, as First Lady, used her platform for social causes, obesity, right? She focused on obesity. Closer to home in Bermuda, who are some people that have used their platforms for social causes? Who's someone? Again, I mentioned Katora Horton, Parent Chief. She's used her platform for social causes. She's a part of the Social Justice Bermuda. She's been very outspoken about many of the causes they fight for. But what are your thoughts? Before we get into it, the actual question, do you believe people with platforms, with huge platforms or great following, should use their platforms for social causes? What are your thoughts? Carla J, thank you for being a community member. Carla J says, yes, they should use their platforms, but do it strategically or it becomes a distraction from the cause. Well, yeah, I don't disagree. And I don't want to name names, but there was a musician in Bermuda who jumped on the LGBTQ plus wave, the fight of same-sex marriage as well. And he had so much baggage, right? He had so much baggage. And people just couldn't understand how a person with so much baggage could be leading a cause of civil rights or justice, right? And we all know who I'm talking about. But I completely agree with you, Carla J. You want them to use it, but you don't want them to distract from the cause. You also don't want them to hijack the cause, right? You don't want them to hijack the cause. But let's get into the questions. The question of the morning is, how can we encourage more local athletes and entertainers to use their platforms to support social causes? And let's go somewhere with this. So I named some people in Bermuda who used their platform for social causes. But we had Gennaro Taco on the show earlier this year, and he spoke about what he's doing in terms of helping to give back through his cricket annual tournament, is an annual cricket tournament that he holds in April, right? So that's someone who is using their platform to promote a social cause. But when I go down, and I'm going to pick on cup match players, What causes have they fought for? We go up there every summer, we get drunk, we support the cause, we cheer for our teams, but what have they really done outside of cricket? Let's look at local footballers, right? And I'm gonna say it's not just about charity and giving back, easy stuff. It's about social causes, right? No, I'm not saying you have to agree with every social cause, but folks, I said this yesterday, and I was very direct with it. I actually got sick and tired of people reaching out to me on the side and saying, "Hey, yeah, no, I agree with you, but thank you for speaking up because I don't like debating about that stuff publicly." But it's because of you, right? Your lack of involvement that this stuff continues. Imagine if your voice supported some of these causes. Imagine how much better things could be. Imagine. We give too many people in Bermuda a free pass. Now, I know people will say, well, you don't know what people are doing. They're probably giving $1 here, $1 there. Let's use Deion Sanders right now. Deion Sanders is taking some heat. Oh, sorry. Deion Sanders is I knew him as prime time. He played for my Atlanta Braves back in the day. Two-sport athlete. He was a NFL player. That's the American version of football. And he was a baseball player. Two-sport athlete, Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl winner. So Deion Sanders was the coach, now known as Coach Prime, at Jackson State University, right? A historically black college and university. Deion Sanders, 3 years, about $1.2 million, right? Put money back into the school. He, pretty much got sponsors, everything into Jackson State. Well, a lot of people are mad at Deion Sanders because at first attempt, we don't know that, he jumped ship and he's going to a PWI, which my colleagues in the Daily Hour told me was a private white institution, right? And he's going to Colorado to oversee their football program. And basically people feel he used black institutions for his personal gain and this and that and the other. Let me say this here. I saw recordings and clips of him saying if a Power 5, which is a major football college, came, that he would consider it. He said that the entire time, right? But I understand why people feel like, no, he used us. But we have to keep in mind what he did while he was in place. See, the idea is that when you get in a job, when you get in a space, and this is how I think. When I do something, when I move on, whoever comes through after me should be able to build on what I put in place. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. The problem is there's not enough Deion Sanders, in my opinion. There's not enough people willing to me, he sacrificed as well. Now, again, I'm not getting into whether I agree with him or not. That's neither here or there. I'm using it to tie it into Bermuda. When was the last time we've had local footballers, cricketers, athletes, triathletes, marathon runners, right? Olympians take on a political cause? So the question is, folks, answer the question. How can we get more of our local athletes and entertainers to use their platforms? Teo Dill, another example, used his platform to push for social causes. Sherry Simmons, she's another one, used her platform, social causes. You may disagree with him, but Cully Buds used his platform, right, to push social causes. Again, it's not necessarily whether we agree or not, but they used their platform. It seems like everyone is trying to be friendly with the people who are doing the damage. Right now, your country, Bermuda, needs you more than ever, and yet you're silent and quiet. And I see you liking my Twitter posts. But no, it's more than a like or engagement. The people of your country need your voice. They need your support. Where do you stand? Or is that photo up with selfie king Premier David Brett more important? How can we encourage more people to use their platforms, folks? How can we do it? Should people use their platforms? Nicole Walker says, yes, if they're comfortable doing so and understand they will be met with both support and opposition. All right. Kenton Trott says, you are preaching this morning, Jamal. Well, I'm not trying to be in the pulpit, but Kenton, sometimes things have to be said. Yes, they said predominantly white institution, but let's not take away from my point. Come on, brother Charles, you know better than that. But thank you for the correction. Yeah, predominantly white institutions. I said private. Nah, duh, Jamel, it's not private. Predominantly, they just taught me that, by the way, because I didn't know whether I was heading to a HBCU or a predominantly white institution when I went to school. But I did have the privilege of attending both. Curriculum seemed the same to me. Angeline Butler says, yes, they can be real influencers, etc., but are they passionate about certain platforms? Some people are very settled, each to their own, I guess. Here's the thing for me. I'm going to use my personal situation, Angeline. So when we were fighting to end conscription, I remember a time when a lot of local footballers were getting snatched off football fields in Bermuda and being told that they can't play, they have to go attend the regiment, like they do in South Korea, right? It was all that stuff. Because of our fight, they don't have to worry about that anymore. And some of them were like, no, man, I support your cause. I remember they were waiting for me after my football game and this and that. Folks, seriously. Think about if you actually stood up together. Think about locked arms. You did it for the airport. You locked arms, didn't let them to the House of Assembly. Think about a locked arms approach. They're some of the most influential athletes and voices in Bermuda. Think about that. Think about a Nikki Wells, Flora Duffy, Sean Goda, Power Girl Patrina, Miss Dang. Think about if some of these voices stood with the major causes of Bermuda today, not from a political perspective, but a humanitarian one. Think about what that could mean for Bermuda. Think about what could change or shift. I'm going to be honest with you. Got in a big argument when we first started this show because I don't expect people to use their platforms to support major causes. And I don't think we should expect them to do so. I truly believe that individuals will do what they believe is in their best interest for their own lives. I do. And that's okay. But just think what it could mean if your perspective and your actions were a bit different, how it would truly benefit you and your country. I don't want to change your mind. I want you to think about how different things could be. Let's go to the comments. Folks, how can we encourage more local athletes and entertainers in Bermuda to support social causes? How can we do it? Because truthfully, it's really all of you. It's all of you doing the work. Kenton Trott says it's safe to remain in the shadows and not speak up about social issues. Unfortunately, in Bermuda, there are so many of us that are comfortable and don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers. If more influential people openly supported causes, we would be further ahead as a country. And I agree. I agree with you, Kenton. I agree with you. I honestly believe if some of the names I just called took on social causes and got behind some of the things that Bermudians are facing, we would we would be further along. But unfortunately, we live in a culture where people don't want to mess up that bag. They don't want to mess up that bag. Carla J says, using your platform for a social cause can be very uncomfortable, and a lot of folks aren't willing to experience the discomfort and uncertainty that comes with activism. And that's honestly, and that's why I said what I just said, Carla J. Honestly, and that's why I don't expect people to do it. I have no expectation of people to use their platforms. That's why the question is, how can we encourage them to? At the end of the day, the reason you even have a platform is because of the sacrifices of others. That's what needs to be made clear. There were people who fought and sacrificed for us to have this conversation this morning, the way we're having it. And I understand that. That's why I feel a duty to have and lead conversations that are meaningful and helpful to our community. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, do you feel this is a cultural issue because we would rather be liked instead of standing on principle? No, I don't think it's just a cultural. I don't think it's just a Bermuda thing. I don't think it's cultural. I think this is global. This is global. Think about it. You know, Michael Jordan took heat for years for not taking a stance, right? He took heat for years for people saying he doesn't speak out against anything. You know, he had donated some money to a political candidate in the early 90s, and people always use that statement that's been attributed to him about, oh, well, Republicans buy sneakers too, right? But no, I don't think it's cultural. I don't think it's a Bermuda thing. I think traditionally people have different values. People value different things. And for some, they value. Think about Kyrie Irving, right? Yesterday, it was announced that Nike cut ties with Kyrie Irving, right? Now, Kyrie, no matter what he did or said, didn't have to say anything. And he would keep that Nike contract. But instead, he said something, how he's feeling, and supported a cause, right? He supported something that he believed in. It cost him. And I get it. This is what I'm saying. I'm not expecting anyone to give up their bag. I'm not. But folks, we can still encourage people. That's the question. How can we encourage more local athletes and entertainers to use their platforms to support causes? How can we do it? Again, I have no expectation, but how can we support them to be more comfortable doing so? Charles H. Jeffers II says, anyone with influence should use their platform for things that they have more than a cursory knowledge of, or to learn about a cause. Well, let me address this, Charles. I don't disagree that, you know, I agree and disagree. I don't have any expectations, I should say, of people. I just don't have any expectations of people. I think that's how I've been let down. Like, for instance, there's a former interim CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority, and he stood for nothing, in my opinion. And then when something easy came along, like George Floyd, right, that everyone was jumping on, he leaped. And I said to myself, this guy really stands for nothing. Like, here we are, there's this battle, that battle. But then when it was an easy fight, like the LGBT situation with tourism, right? And then an easy fight like the George Floyd, because everyone was hopping on it, he leaped. I think I would rather people who believe in causes, as I believe you and I have spoken about, Brother Charles, hopping on. But I believe that everyone should educate themselves about causes. Folks, I've got to bring Maya in before I get in trouble. But again, think about this beyond this conversation. Think about this beyond this conversation. Also, again, for those who don't know, yes, you can watch the Daily Hour as of yesterday live on our website, thedailyhour.com. The show is live. So again, we know everyone doesn't have access to social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. So the show is now live directly on our website, just like how you can go to news websites and look at the news and read your news stories or watch your news. You can go directly to our website, thedailyhour.com, to check it out. You don't want to miss our guest today. It's probably one of the most informative conversations we've had in a while. We're talking about global workforce development. And Bermudians, we talk about brain drain. We talk about our economy. We talk about, honestly, everything we're about to talk about with our guest today. So you don't want to miss it. Let's bring Maya in before you all get me in trouble. You know, nobody else here, so it'll definitely be on me today.
Good morning, good morning. This is a Daily Hour Newsbreak brought to you by People's Pharmacy. How are you, Jamal?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah. So Maya, you have a platform. You do. You have a platform.
Thank you.
And as a journalist, you have to tread cautiously, but you do use your platform to support causes in a very journalistic way, right? At least that's how I see it. I mean, I don't want to go ahead and say what causes, but they're very public in what you seem to support.
I would say, yeah, I do make it quite clear what I support. Sometimes people
Hmm.
ask me, like, I am one person. This is my company. If there's something that I support, then I'm gonna mention it. And I normally
Hmm.
have on my bio there, like, community, politics, and us.
Hmm.
That's kinda like my gist, even though I do love
Hmm.
sports as well. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I just love to give people the space to at least mention and talk about what they support or what they think anonymously as well. But, yeah, I've
Hmm.
been in positions where people are asking, like, "No, yeah, I support that," or people like,
Hmm.
especially, and even recently, same-sex marriage Bermuda or Pride, and like I
Hmm.
was going out to the events and having fun, and people would come to be like, "Are you sweating?" and ask me questions they really shouldn't be,
Hmm.
but like I got that,
Hmm.
or even on all the Black Lives Matter things. Like, well, of course, I'm black. Like, I'm like this is for human rights. But yeah, I normally stick to a quote as well that says, "As long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting anybody else, I'm okay with everyone trying to figure out who they are at their own pace."
Hmm. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, but I guess from your perspective, I mean, what can we do to encourage people to support certain causes? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this question too because I was like, he's probably gonna ask me this, and the only thing I can really say is just keep instilling in the people that you love. Like, if there's something they believe is wrong, fight for it.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. All right, let's get to the news break. Yeah, it's an interesting one, and like I said, folks, carry that conversation on because it's not. I don't want to point fingers. This is not to say that those people I mentioned are bad people. Let me be clear with that. What I'm simply saying is, imagine if their voices were heard supporting some of the major causes that are impacting our community today. What you got for us in the news, Maya?
Well, topping the news this morning is actually an update about the Northlands Primary School incident, where the police spokesperson said that at 3:15 p.m. on Friday, police received a report of an incident at Northlands Primary School, Pembroke. The caller stated he had parked his motorcycle in the school parking and was approached by two males. An argument which ensued eventually became physical and resulted in a 42-year-old suffering a wound to the head as well as facial injuries. He was transported to the hospital and was later released, just with some injuries. And the two
Mhm.
suspects are said to be twin brothers, actually, twin brothers who left the area on foot shortly after the incident. They are described as light complexion, slim built, and approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall. One of the suspects has dreadlocks and the other has his hair braided. At the time of the incident, they were both dressed in gray hoodies, gray sweatpants, and black neck scarves. So anyone with any information on the incident is asked to call Detective Sergeant Seema Foot on the following number: 717-2282 or 247-1154. You could also call the non-emergency 211 line as well.
Um, I'm not a what's it called, a mathematician or whatever. I'm
Petition.
not one. Yeah, I'm not one of those people. But Bermuda's population 60,000. Twin brothers attack someone. I'm not quite sure it should be difficult to find out who they are. I'm just saying. The numbers are in the community's favor.
Yeah, I had that same thought as well. Oh, in
Okay.
other news, around 1:20 p.m. on Monday, yesterday, the police and other first responders attended a report of a single vehicle collision along Riviera Road, Southampton. Very sad news. In that initial information suggests that a 67-year-old man driving a motor car and a 62-year-old female passenger were exiting a private drive where it is believed that the driver may have suffered a medical episode and lost control of the vehicle, causing it to overturn. The female passenger was able to free herself from the vehicle. However, the male driver, who was unresponsive at the time, had to be extracted from the vehicle by the Bermuda Fire Police and Rescue Service. Both victims were taken to the ambulance and were treated for their injuries, the extent of which is unknown at this time. The police are asking for any witnesses of this collision to please contact the police at 211 as well.
That's so sad. So,
Yeah.
so sad. What else you got for us?
I have an update on Operation Vega this morning. I'm going to get you to put up the first slide for me, please, Jamal. While it does look like things are getting slightly better, as you can see, during the periods of November 7th to December 5th, 428 tickets were issued for traffic offenses, which is down from 702 previously. And then motor advised notices, which were, 48 in the previous period, was only 68. So again, down there as well. And impaired driving was at 12 arrests. for the offenses last month for the year so far, which have been 188 arrests for driving whilst impaired. And unfortunately, I believe that period, sorry, I can't see from the thing, was down in 121. Yeah, it was 121 in the last period reported, and now it's up to 180 for driving impaired in Bermuda. So that's an unfortunate statistic that has gone up. And then right here, you could just see the overall numbers of the Operation Vega updates. A lot of them have gone down, as you can see the negative numbers beside them. So that's actually quite positive news to hear for the traffic collisions on the island. However, impaired driving continues to be an area of major concern, as you mentioned before, and the BPS wishes to remind the public of the guidelines regarding illegal license plates as well as illegal tint, and make sure your vehicle is properly licensed and insured. Also, please ensure that your driver's license is current.
Yeah, folks. Hey, if you're like me, I don't have no money to pay for any kind of traffic offense. So let's just be wise and smart, you know, save a dollar or two.
Yep,
exactly.
It's going to get crazy. All right, so this next news story, if you love agriculture, then this is probably for you. The BEDC is actually looking to develop and ask for requests for interest for developing an agricultural co-op, a collective location on government-owned Walsingham agricultural lands in Hamilton Parish. The site consists of a derelict cottage and approximately 1 acre of agricultural land currently overgrown and in disuse. The BEDC is interested in reviewing submissions for individuals and organizations interested in co-ops and bringing agricultural land back into production in creative and practical ways. Ideas for the co-op should focus on the needs of the community, they said. Some ideas and the interests considers creation of destination, hotspot with agricultural food, entertainment and community, a purpose-built facility to house a commercial kitchen, bar, and bathroom, also a design of a farm-to-table amenities, things along that lines that have to do with agriculture and serving the community at the same time. Maybe something that, if you love agriculture and have an idea, this is something that you should probably put forward as a request. The deadline is January 16th. 2023, and you could also find out more on bedc.pm.
Okay. Interesting. I don't have any experience in agriculture, but okay. I'm not going to apply. What else you got for us?
Couple of news stories just to end the day. So we all know that Saturday, December 10th is Human Rights Day. Well, today I have a story out on media-maya.com written by Kavina Luray that has to do with creating safer spaces, and I believe that has a lot to do with like human rights and what we should all try to accomplish for each other. But also on Wednesday at 5:30, Bermuda Youth Connect will also be having an interview on their own space with the Executive Commissioner of Human Rights, Lisa Reed, on their platform on Wednesday, if anyone wants to tap into that.
Cool. They're doing a thing,
And I'm going to close out today's news with a nice feel-good story. As you know, last week, December 3rd, was United International Day of Persons with Disabilities, and also Giving Tuesday was last week. Well, if you know me, you know I work in those org, and we were able to do our first ever 90-second shopping spree with WinReach Bermuda, and WinReach does so many great things for the community, so many awesome initiatives, and here's a quick video of how fun and creative it was.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm dropping. There you go. I apologize for dropping things. I had a whole tactic and now I'm stressed.
Snacks, how much seconds?
Guys, you got 10 more seconds. Holy crap. Nobody get back to that. Nobody came back to that.
What's it?
10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Someone get a video of you jumping.
I let you down.
Flashing those, I was too short.
Look at all the stuff. So tell me, guys, how was the experience? How do you feel?
Amazing, but stressful. It was the quickest 90 seconds of my life.
That's a good process.
Yeah, thank you.
I have no idea what we have here. It's a lot. It was
great.
How
You guys are amazing.
Thank you so much, Noah's Ark, for supporting us over so many years, decades. Thank you so much. Our animals are gonna love it.
I mean, is work that fun every day for them? Gee, that's Bermuda's version of supermarket sweep, huh?
They honestly, they were so excited. They made us even more excited. Like, I had goosebumps watching them trying to run around the store and grab all this stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Props to them, Vim Reach and Noah's Ark for that. What's the weather looking like today?
Oh, the weather is looking like sunny actually, but with a couple of
Oh.
showers maybe later in the day. So still bring out your rain jackets and stuff if you're on a bike, definitely. And just watch yourself on the roads, guys. You know how it gets. And we got a high of 72 degrees Fahrenheit.
All righty. It's nothing crazy today. It's day of the year. It's Mitten Tree Day. Mitten Tree, you know, there's mitten things that people put on, created by school teachers as a way to have a fun Christmas time activity for the children to make while they were in school. Others would claim that the holiday was created because of a book with the title The Mitten Tree, which was written by author Candace Christensen. In the book, the main character, Sarah, is bundling up to walk through the cold winter weather. And, well, you all don't wear mittens in Bermuda, do you?
I mean, I wear gloves on my bike. I don't wear mittens though.
All right. Maya, we've got an argument. Sam Cat Place is saying it ain't sunny, it's cold and rainy.
It's sunny outside my window. Thank you very much.
Sam Cat Place probably lives in St. David's or something. But anyway, look, you gonna come back do Daily Play with?
I'll come back and do Daily Play.
All right, she's doing Daily Play with me, Maya. We'll see you in a few. All right, folks. Gonna take a quick break. Come back. We've got Wanda Gispert coming up. You don't want to miss this conversation, folks. All of us have opinions about workforce development. I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional in it. That's why we have people like Wanda joining us after this break. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, again, as of yesterday, you can now watch the show live on thedailyhour.com. We'll be finding a way for you all to comment soon, but again, feel free to tune in wherever you'd like, but you do have that option. If you know people who don't have social media and would love to access the show, thedailyhour.com is where you can do that. Also, I was joking. I didn't. Sam Cat Place. I guess you really do live in St. David's because Casey Trott says I'm with Sam Cat here in the East. Oh, yeah, you all have different weather down there, so I get you. I get you. But without further ado, let's bring our guest. We've got Wanda Gispert coming on. We're talking global workforce development. Let's give her a warm TDH welcome. Yes, that's they got a bit rowdy sometimes. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
No problem, no problem. Well, first of all, let's get right to it. Just tell the audience a bit about who you are and your background.
Absolutely. So I am Wanda Gispert. I work for MGM Resorts International, um, all things Vegas and abroad. I also teach at Virginia Tech in the MBA program for hospitality students. My job is to go into different markets when we're bringing in casino resorts years ahead of time so that I can prepare the labor force. So when you see me coming, jobs are coming, training is coming to make sure that the locals have everything they need in terms of awareness for the positions, how to apply for the positions ahead of time. So I go out with a nice runway so that I can prepare the local communities.
We need more people like you. Trust me. But no, that's great to know, and especially when reading about you, seeing that you were a lecturer. I was like, man, I should go back and do my MBA. But no, I definitely appreciate it. In Bermuda, and just not Bermuda, but I sit on some committees over in South Florida, and it relates to tourism and employment. And one of the things that we're facing here in South Florida, um, a lot of people don't understand workforce development. Part of the conversations is that, and I'm learning, I still don't understand what a J visa, different kind of visas are, because they can't find people to fill jobs still, right? But just explain to people, the audience, what is workforce development and what's the purpose of it? What's its purpose?
Sure, absolutely. So the purpose really is to prepare the locals for any growth that's coming to the area. So jobs that phase in and jobs that phase out, we study the labor market to see if the skills are in the community at that time. So the purpose is to just take a look at your area. It is very personalized. Some markets are big in certain professions and some not so much. Take a look at your local market to make sure the inventory is there. So I'll give you a good example. Electricians. My father was an electrician, so I'll go with this example. In order to be an electrician, you have to receive a license, right? And that license comes from the government. So that means at any given point in time, your government is aware of how many active licenses exist in its community. Keep an eye on that number, because if it teeters too low, that means you're going to have a labor shortage in that profession. And that's why we see different professions with shortages. We don't have enough people tracking that so that they can go in and make sure that the training programs are available, that we promote those, and that we're actively recruiting. Because if you don't have certain foundational occupations in your community, guess what? You have to bring that labor in from someplace. And if you get in front of it, if you track it, you're able to make changes before the problem occurs.
Yes, and that brings me to, kind of tying into what you just said, the benefits of proper workforce development planning. What are the benefits?
So if you align overall, I look at education system in a community. I work a lot in Las Vegas. And the benefits there is to align what we need as a business to the education entities. So for example, and I have a slide that I'd like to show at this time. In Las Vegas, we are the fifth largest school district in the country. That means we have what's called career technical academies. When you have these academies, you get industry like an MGM and others to weigh in and say, this is where we need training at the high school level. So culinary arts, we are big in culinary arts. We have a lot of celebrity chef restaurants, a lot of hotels, casinos, spas. So we make sure on the high school level, certain things are offered. What you're looking at right now is an example of Clark County School District, and there are 6 verticals of how they prepare people in high school.
Mhm.
If you look at some of these areas, you have fire science. If you want more firefighters, teach fire science in high school, and you're going to get young adults going into
Mm.
those professions so that we'll have it. You know, they teach criminal justice, they teach dental science, they teach aviation technology, graphic designs. So you tie into your high schools, they're really the solutions. They start planting those seeds early on so that young people know that, you know what, I have a little edge, and it funnels them to the right training after they graduate high school. But I will tell you this, 70% of the students that come out of these high schools go right into the marketplace.
Mm.
So it is a way for people to get the training that they need in many different areas. So that is one of the things that I love to share because it all starts in the high school education, awareness for
Mhm.
that training. Now, prior to high school, I tell people reinvent these career days that you're having for students at the elementary school level. You
Mhm.
should be talking to the young people about professions early. How many people know what it takes to become a pilot? Did you know that in elementary school? And as a young girl, no one ever told me that I could be a pilot. We need to start having these conversations and planting these seeds early on so that students are curious. They know the sky is the limit, but they also know, oh, okay, if I want to be this, here is the roadmap to do that.
Interesting, and that's a good point. I mean, so would you say, and just a yes or no, do you think one of our biggest problems when it comes to preparing, Steve, I go back to this comment, Steve Perry, educator up in Connecticut, he was a former education contributor to CNN. He said during a speech in Bermuda back in 2009 that we need to be preparing our children for things that don't yet exist. But would you agree that one of our biggest problems is that we're not preparing children early enough for the labor market?
We are not, but one of the reasons that a lot of people struggle with that is because they don't know about professions. When I was growing up, I wanted to work in the hotel industry. And
Mhm.
my parents said, absolutely not, because they didn't know anyone in the hotel industry that had a thriving career. My mother said, people in hotels don't really have a great career track. I don't think that's the path for you. She was just not aware of everything that's out there. And a lot of parents are just unaware. So when you're unaware, don't shut down things that your students might want. Do a little research, have them speak with someone in that industry. On the flip side of things, my father, who was an electrician and would go on different work sites, came home one day with a book. And the book was all about becoming an architect. And he said, somebody in this family is going to become an architect. And he put that book in the kitchen and we would all thumb through it. Guess what? My baby sister is an architect today. And it's like sometimes just bringing in that information. We used to thumb through that book and say, oh, I want my house to look like this. I want my house to look like that. She started sketching and she was in elementary school. And so she's had a thriving career in a couple different countries and she
Mhm.
designs hospitals today. So
Mhm.
if you don't know, get the information to your children, your students, books, video, YouTube. We had Mr. Rogers, and people might laugh about that, but he took us on tours to many different plants and factories, and you understood how things were made. He spoke to engineers. So get that awareness to your students, your children, bring people in that can really make it come to life for them. Take them to
Indeed.
field trips, all of that. Yes. When you take them to the dentist, they should talk about how did you become a dentist? Am
Right.
I right for this? So just careers are all around us if we pay
Mhm.
attention.
Indeed, indeed. Loving this conversation. Folks, I want to say this. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free. It's not every day we get someone of this stature on the Daily Hour. I appreciate you giving us the time. But based on what you know about Bermuda, what are some simple things that the island should consider when planning a strategy or effective workforce development?
Sure. Well, one thing that I tell people all the time is to take a look at the natural attraction of businesses to your area. We know that you all have been discussing casinos for a while and moving ahead with that. Think about all that means if a casino comes to your market, how many people are qualified for those roles? So take a look at all the businesses that are headed your way, back into that with the training. Do you have dealers who are trained? Most people don't know this, but you don't just deal cars. It's not because you know how to deal cars. Oh, at my house, we play this way. You go to college for that. So in the US, community college is where you go to learn the art of poker, blackjack, roulette, all of those lovely things are college courses. We only hire people coming out of dealer training courses or if they are an experienced dealer. So if you're bringing a casino in the market and you don't have dealer schools in your market and that training for cage casinos, they teach Title 31 compliance, that's something you need to think about today and put in motion so that your locals become the most qualified. And that's what we want. Now for MGM, when we go into different markets, we go in with a community agreement to say this is how many locals minimum we're going to hire, 45%, 50%. Get those companies to commit to these type of metrics because now they will come in with a strategy to train and upskill or reskill the locals. You need to be the most qualified because you know the area more than anyone else. You make the best employee. So now just get a plan together so that you get the training. And as we're building the building off the ground, we're also building that important local workforce. And I stress local. I can't stress that enough. I travel a lot. I've been to just about every Caribbean island out there. But when I get there, a lot of people in these senior leadership roles are not from the islands. They're from other places. That's a problem for me. That is an absolute problem for me. How can we upskill and reskill the community so that those top high-end positions are held by locals? That is my role.
And it's interesting you say that because that leads me into the brain drain, right? It is a concern. I've been in the tourism space for quite a while myself, and it's hard. It's hard seeing, especially in Bermuda, that there's no Bermudians in certain roles, right? There's hotel manager, front desk manager. It's not hate. I don't think it's discussed with non-Bermudians or whatnot. It's just what do we have to do to get Bermudians in this space? And it leads me to the brain drain because Bermudians are suffering from brain drain right now. We don't even have statistics that have been presented of how many people have left Bermuda, and we have a very educated group that should be pumping money into the economy. There's so many talented Bermudians leaving for other jurisdictions. How can, what do you think an island like us or any jurisdiction can do to stop the brain drain?
Sure. And we find this in Japan a lot. We are in the Osaka market, waiting for our gaming license there, but we see brain drain happen there. People leave for universities, they leave for other opportunities, which sometimes by design, you should leave, get that great training, come to Vegas, learn how to run one of these properties and bring that back home. A very simple thing that can be done is, quite honestly, LinkedIn. If you all had a LinkedIn account for every graduate from high school, they need to create it at LinkedIn. They need to put what high school they graduated from, what college. You will be able to run a report from here on out and find your graduates all over the world. When I go into a community, the first thing I do is run a report educated in this market and where are they now? I reach out specifically as a recruitment strategy because many people want to come home. Your friends are there, family there, you want to come home. That's a strategy that I use. So at the very least, don't let your high schoolers graduate and go out into the world without having a permanent way to outreach to them. LinkedIn is the easiest way, I'll be honest, to get things like that done. And it is forever there as long as they utilize that account. You can have engagement, you can recruit people back, and they're happy to hear from you. Many people, I say, want to come home. So we see that happen in Osaka. People left for the big city, for Tokyo, and you lose that rich growth organically. When people come back home, they usually come back, they have their families there, and that's how you grow your population, organically. So you want that. So just keep it in mind that you have that connection forever. Another thing, you can have homecoming. We have homecoming for colleges and universities all the time. Bermuda needs a homecoming for everybody that's out there. Come back once a year, see what we have to offer. Now that we have remote work, which is everywhere, let people know, number one, we want you back. We have some properties at MGM. When people resign, we wait a little bit, maybe 6 months, 9 months. We do a little outreach because sometimes people want to come back, but they just need that push, luring them back. So do a touch point with people that leave your islands. You can find out what colleges most people go to. You should have an alumni chapter at that college. Go out there, re-engage them, let them know about the careers that are available.
I like the homecoming thing, bringing people back to Bermuda, like having an event. I love that idea. Those who watch this show religiously would know that I'm always speaking up LinkedIn. I just actually shared a post made by a Berkeley Institute high school student in his final year 2 weeks ago, where he basically put himself out there on LinkedIn, which is unheard of for high school students in Bermuda. So I really hope, honestly, I say this all the time, folks, this conversation is so helpful, not just for you, but for your friends and family. And I want you to share these conversations because it's so easy for us to complain about where we're at. But honestly, finding solutions and having discussions about solutions is just as easy. So that said, you've worked in this space for quite some time. What do you believe is of most importance for people to know about workforce development?
So the most important thing is it starts in the home. Give your students and your children a love for work and tie it back into work equals money. This is how you buy your house, your cell phone. This is how you feed your family. I grew up in a family where a lot of people don't do this. Every single pay period, my father brought his check home and shared it with the family. I knew in the third grade how much money my father made. I knew when he worked Christmas, he got time and a half. I knew when he did this. So start talking to your children about work in a positive way and let them see that the future is bright for them. A lot of people come home and you only complain about work. That is the worst thing you can do. And we wonder why we have so many students not interested in careers and jobs because you come home every day sometimes not thinking about it. And it's like, work was this, work was that. Be intentional about changing that conversation. Tell them what you love about work. Tell them what you're passionate about and build that love of work and then awareness with the students. I've seen certain markets that will take the high school. You have public high schools there. Are they empty at night? They shouldn't be. It is a hub for the community to come and upskill and reskill themselves. So start activating certain things. Bring people into your market for boot camps. I know a guy that will train anybody on AV technology for conferences, festivals. Bring subject matter experts into Bermuda, have them do a workshop or a boot camp where they're getting people ready. So make work fun and exciting again so that people are looking forward to it. I love what I do. And I'm not just saying that. I have had some jobs that I did not like. Guess what? I learned that about myself and I shifted. So I think it's important to make sure that we tell students, you don't have to commit to a career for life. In fact, the life expectancy in Bermuda is actually quite long,
Mhm.
compared to many other countries. It's very long. So you can have multiple careers, reinvent yourself.
Mhm.
I use Singapore as the model for me. I think they
Mm.
workforce development better than anyone.
Mhm.
They actually have an allowance every year for people. If you're a resident of Singapore, you get an allowance every year to upskill yourself, to
Mhm.
reskill yourself, every citizen. And they've started working on teaching computer science to the retirees. And
Mhm.
they have a program where it is going quite well. Many people think, oh, when you retire, that's it. No, that is not it. You can
Mm.
reskill yourself in any area that you wish. So having a stipend for the locals to reskill and upskill
Mhm.
means that you care about workforce development. You care about making
Mm.
sure skills are relevant because
Mhm.
times are changing. So you need to change with the times and make sure that people have relevant skills, but offer that
Mhm.
up.
Indeed, we've got to evolve. NTS said earlier, forwards this slide to the Department Ministry of Education. Makes so much sense. Plant the bug early for the next generation careers. And Charles H. Jeffers II says, I agree, completely agree with Wanda. We should be creating an environment for people to want to return home. Before you go, thank you so much for this conversation. And I think this is a conversation that we can go, every question I ask, we can have a conversation just about that, right?
Yeah.
Like legit, just on the models. You spoke about Singapore. I'd like to go even more in depth than that, which means we're going to be asking you to come back very soon, if you can make time for us. But just how can people get in touch with you? You mentioned LinkedIn if they want to learn more, or connect with you in some way for advice.
Sure. So I am on LinkedIn and I will make sure that my information is in the chat. If you reach out to me, I will 100% respond to you. I love speaking with students, college student. I love the undecided crowd. A lot of people are like, I have no idea what to do. Tell me what, where I should be in this space. So reach out to me. I am happy to have these conversations. If you are an educator and you want to discover how you can help your students just be on fire about their careers,
Mhm.
don't let people graduate without a career development plan. You'd be surprised how many people never got the opportunity to just speak to someone about their career in a serious way, one-on-one. Get these students out there, get their headshots done. They will start seeing themselves as professionals. All of those little things really do help. And I have to get a shout out because I know your mother was in my profession, workforce development. So, absolutely want to dedicate this episode to her and just keeping that, yes, absolutely, keeping that alive because that is how we plan our future. We want to be strategic, intentional, but that awareness goes a long way.
Indeed. And before you go, I just want to say Renee Simmons says excellent information, exactly what Bermuda needs. If it starts early from elementary school, it certainly can be followed through. The LinkedIn info should be implemented in our schools. And I shared a story actually that I was in graduate school and it was a part of a course, strategic communication course. We had to create a LinkedIn account. I knew nothing about LinkedIn. This was 2010. And so if it was not for that course, I probably wouldn't have done so. And truthfully, we connected through LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is one of the greatest assets. And when I think social media, people always say, oh, well, you prefer LinkedIn. I do, because I don't go on LinkedIn to post. I go on LinkedIn to learn. Go on LinkedIn to connect. So thank you for everything. Really, really appreciate it, especially the kind words about my mom. And we'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Wanda.
It is a delight to be with you today. Thank you.
All right, Wanda Gispert, thank you. Have a great day. Folks,
Thank
if you
you.
appreciated today's conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Please share this conversation. All of what she said will be shared in social media form because everything she said was important. But we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to share this conversation. We have the holidays. We're in the midst of the holidays. These are the kind of things that we need to be discussing to improve our community. leave the politics aside for a minute and let's have these kind of conversations. Because if we can solve our problems with this, the politics of it all becomes minimal. All right. I'm going to take a quick break and we're going to come back. Maya's going to join me. We're going to do the daily play. Do not go anywhere. If you appreciated it, make sure, again, it costs you nothing. Obviously, if you're watching on thedailyhour.com, which thank you to all of you who have chosen that route. You can't do it, but if you're on YouTube or Facebook, just give us a thumbs up or a like. We'll be right back after this.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All righty. Thank you again to Wanda Gispert for joining us today. Again, folks, if you appreciated the information and conversation, give us a thumbs up, a like, make sure you share it. Please share these conversations. They are helpful. They are, easy to understand, and they're necessary. Thanks again to Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and One Communication for ensuring we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. And don't forget, there is a new edition that is available in stores this week that we will make sure you know about. Maya, are you ready?
I'm nervous. I feel like I always get it when I'm behind the scene.
Oh, it's so much easier back there, is it? Here we go. Here we go. Now, I don't know the answer to this. Hold on, I'm looking. Let me see. Oh, okay. All right, I know the answer now. Name one of the two most famous tree toppers.
Oh, and an angel.
What'd you say?
A star and an angel.
Oh. I said name one. You didn't have to name both.
It was an easy question, Jamal. That was mad easy. What I win.
Wow. You all, wow. You know what, Maya? It's okay. It's okay. I guess that was very easy. I should have looked at the answer first because I think I would have guessed. I wouldn't have guessed. I wouldn't have guessed Angel. I would have guessed Star. I didn't think of Angel. I've always
don't watch enough Christmas movie.
I don't. Home Alone's it. Home Alone's it. Yeah. Home Alone's it. Yeah. Let's wrap up today. So I don't know if you have any final thoughts you want to give to anything, Maya. You want to share?
I do. I would say that the idea of bringing in, what we want to aspire to be at an earlier age, whether it be high school or even sooner, is brilliant to me. Like, I love that idea because when you see it, you have representation of what you want to become, and we need more of that in the schools. Like, even for me wanting to be a journalist, I can't remember where that sparked from. I noticed from a teacher who told me that I was good at writing, and then I just continued to write. And then, and when I was in high school and I did the Miss CBA pageant, I got to go on the radio station because they brought us for an interview, and I was like, oh, I love radio, I want to do journalism. And then Dean Berger and Michelle Legor allowed me to do teacher talk with them as a student representative. And that's what kind of kept my career and my aspirations going and going and going. So bringing it in earlier, getting those opportunities to meet people and, grab those experiences at an early age is really vital, and actually does help you, build a career for later on down the line.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I never knew what I wanted to do, but it was in my final year at Cedar Bridge, and I've told a story before. Joanne Tucker Smith, she was the English teacher, said that you should try radio. And she was the first person to say it, not just because I like to talk, but because I like to write. I just knew I didn't want to do journalism. I personally, at that time, I thought that news was a bit boring to me. Obviously, I think differently now, but as a child, I thought news equal newspapers, right? And to me, the difference is back then versus now, news, you weren't communicating with people. So that's why I never took that road. But that said, I mean, just the first part, the discussion about platforms, people using platforms. I just want to encourage people to, think about how you can make an impact in your community beyond what makes you a dollar. That's it. Think about how you can make an impact in your community beyond what's going to make you a dollar. And I say this in the most respectful way. Today's episode with Wanda will go down as one of the most educational ones for our audience. And I say that respectfully because the information is so helpful to a lot of the problems that we face as a community. All right, Maya, I didn't get a daily inspirational quote. Do you have one? Because I didn't ask you.
Actually, I was going to mention, why don't you say the quote that's actually at the end of your emails that you always have? So it's like, I feel like it relates to the conversation of the day. I read it every single time you send an email. I look at that quote and it just like reflects so heavily on what you spoke about today.
So the quote Maya's talking about is, when I depart this earth, my hope is that I would have achieved more than enough to improve the livelihood of society's most vulnerable citizens. And that's how I live. That's how I live. I really do. I hope that whatever I do lives long beyond my existence. And I hope that, I really have done enough to help the lives of other people. So thank you for that, Maya. And thank you for, sticking around and doing the daily play with me, even though you really just, yeah.
Next time I'll fake it. I'll be like,
No, I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna ask you hang around another time. But thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. Just want to send a shout out to Phil. Hope he feels better. She's Maya Palacio. I'm Jamel Hartman, my friends. Please do make it a safe and a great day. And 2 days in a row, I have not had a sip of my water during the show. I'm thirsty. See ya.